Nintendo Cartridge Society presents NCS Classic Edition, Metroid Other M, Part 3. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, joined as always by my co-host Mark Mitchell. Mark,
Hello.
hi.
I'm feeling better about this one.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better about this game. So we just played maybe the second half of Sector 1, ending with us getting out of Sector 1 and going to Sector 3,
Yes.
which appears to be some kind of like lava world.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, why did we like this part of it better?
Well, I kept a list.
That's good. That's important because I feel like last time we were mostly ragging on how crummy the experience was.
Well, but I also think that this part of the game was a better experience.
Sure, overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One, there were very few cutscenes.
And by the time we do start to get back into cutscenes is when I started to get frustrated again.
Yes.
But so I think we can divide this section of the game into the good parts and the bad parts. Right?
Okay.
And I think the good parts are everything from basically when we started playing here until we get to the area that is the simulated Galactic Federation training ground.
Yeah.
And then from there to the end being like a slog.
Also, it is the Galactic Federation.
Yes.
I gave you sass last time.
You did.
So sorry about my sass.
I demand more sass.
You demand sass-tisfaction?
I demand sass-tisfaction. And I'll slap you with the glove. What do we have on our notes for things that we liked?
We liked some of the lethal strikes are well animated.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we were doing a lot more of them. First of all, fewer of those like weird boss encounters where we couldn't use them, right? Like there were no flying robot drones,
right,
that we couldn't mount and then blow their heads off. So those are fun, and it feels very Super Smash Brothers-y to me. Like Samus getting someone in a grapple and then like blasting them.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Just because she fights a little bit differently that way. What else did we like?
One thing we neglected to mention last time, but it seems like it'll play an important role going forward. And having played this game, I don't know how much I should say.
Sure.
But like, yes, it does play an important role going forward.
Well, it would be weird if it didn't at this point.
Is the weird, like, disgusting like Chocobo-Pikachu?
Yeah, so it's a little white fuzzy thing with bird legs.
Yeah.
And we first see it, we neglected to mention it last time. It appears in that segment, but it comes back again here.
And its entrance is, so it's like feeding on a mini boss that Samus just destroyed.
Right.
And then there's like a cutscene where Samus is like, oh, some creatures,
feed off of others.
Yeah. And then like the camera like pans over this weird chocobo type thing. And she's like, watching this disgusting creature.
This is, by the way, Samus, who has been referring to a Metroid, which is basically a flying jellyfish with fangs. She's been referring to that as a baby. Okay? And then there's
this disgusting piece of scum.
This space scum alien slime.
Satan vomited, and here was this disgusting beast.
And it's basically like an albino chick, right?
Yeah.
With like weird ears.
Yeah.
And also a terrifying mouth.
Yeah.
But so she refers to it as a disgusting creature.
And it made us laugh really hard.
It did. So we see this thing. We'll stay on the subject of it first, and then we'll loop around to other stuff. So when we meet back up with this thing later, its back is split in two and it's dead.
Or it's not dead. It's like...
Oh, you think it is evolved?
Yeah, it's like its skin. It's like a husk, I think.
That's actually interesting because while we were playing, we were a little bit confused by there are these like pill bug creatures that you can only hurt by bombing them, and if you don't bomb them right away, they like go into a cocoon, And if you don't destroy the cocoon right away, then like the flying bug creatures come out of it. So we're watching like a whole metamorphosis of those creatures happen. You think that's what we're experiencing with the Choco-Pikachu?
Yeah, Chokachu.
Count Choco-Pikachu?
Yeah, I think so. No spoilers, but I think so.
That feels like a spoiler.
Also, we find out this story-wise, we find out that the Galactic Federation is genetically enhancing creatures.
Bioweapons.
Bioweapons. That's what they. Yeah.
Yeah, short, of course, for biological weapons.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So biological weapons. That's
not short for biodome weapons.
Not short for
biographical
weapons. Yeah. So or
biographical weapons.
Yeah.
Bibliological weapons.
Yeah, but that would be like a biblio weapon. Like you wouldn't say bio for biblio.
Oh yeah, good point.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had the same thought.
Then you edited yourself, and I looked like the bozo.
Yay! What were we saying?
Biological weapons.
Right. Okay. So is that always something that's implied about the Metroid series, or something that's explicit that they want to use the Metroids for? That the Galactic Federation wants to study Metroids for biological weapon purposes? Or am I just taking that from the Alien series and putting it on the Metroid series?
That's a good question. I don't know that it's ever explicitly laid out that way. We might be venturing into headcanon here.
Ooh, I'm totally comfortable.
Headcanon.
Headcanon. It's a Western. I mean, so much of Metroid is tied up in the Alien series, right?
Right.
The Metroid's home planet is SR388. The Alien's home planet is LB426. Oh no, that's maybe not the home planet. It doesn't matter. These are names of planets from these series. Yeah. So I'm saying that the Federation wanting to use something for biological weapons isn't that like
no. I think it makes total sense. I just don't know that it's ever been like a plot point like this.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's been such little plot in.
Don't you just miss those days? Those sweet days where there were no plot.
Yeah,
Metroid games, because we talked about it on the list as one of the things we like is like the atmospheric storytelling of the game.
Yeah, actually, pretty good
when nobody's talking.
Yes, that's right. When nobody's talking. Actually pretty good. Was the that tree thing, was that
the spider ant?
Do we know what that thing's actually called?
I could look it up.
Don't look it up. So there's a boss that you fight pretty early in this chunk that is like a horse spider that appears to be made out of wood.
Yeah.
And has a glowing weak point either on its belly or its back, depending on how it's configured. So the first like time that you encounter it, you actually have to fight it. And it was sort of tough, right? It took a couple tries to take it down. I thought it was especially cool, although it sort of plays into what I was complaining about in the last chunk, that you encounter it later and it's just like a hazard in a space, like you can avoid it altogether. So that, is just like that other weird big creature, like you don't know that it's optional. But maybe that's what that thing is teaching you the first time you encounter it, that like you don't have to fight everything that's big and scary. Some stuff you can just avoid for a while.
That section, when you encounter it for the second time, also had one of the mechanics we really liked, which was you hold on to a moving ledge.
Yeah.
And then you go into first person to fire the missiles.
Yeah.
And you don't actually have to do it this time. This time you're just holding onto the ledge as like a conveyance system.
Right, but there was a previous time where you had to shoot down those like kind of whippity vines.
Yeah.
Whippity.
Whippity good.
Yeah. Into shape.
And that was really cool. It was actually seemed like the best use of the first person mechanics so far.
Yeah, I agree. Like because it feels more active and less like it demands less precision of you, kind of. For it to be like for a moment an on rails kind of like shooting situation, which seems like a totally like that's a perfect application for that.
The other sections I've really been enjoying, weirdly, are the when you're in like the morph ball.
Yeah.
And
Morph Ball always feels good. Like it I feel like those were pretty successfully integrated into the Metroid Prime games. Um Even though it's so different from a first person perspective mode of playing the game, and I feel like it works just as well here.
yeah, like it looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
Something
Feels good.
feels
Around.
good. Something that does not is the third person like Dead Space view
Okay, yes.
that they lock you into.
Yeah. It's real rough when it does like this close over the shoulder third person perspective. Is very much like Dead Space, but unlike in Dead Space, it does nothing to communicate like the atmosphere or like being scared or any kind of vulnerability.
Also, it's way okay. So we started this episode or this segment saying that we really liked up to the point that you get
Yes.
into that big grassy field section.
Which, by the way, why does it make you run through the grassy field section the first time? Like, it makes you skip it.
I don't know. I don't know.
I just wanted to run around and play in it. The sky was blue.
Maybe that's why they were like, no.
Oh, this might be
We're
fun for
taking
you?
we're taking away that ability. You want to do that? You do that later.
Oh,
After you've earned it.
okay.
And then so once you hit that section, it kind of becomes a slog. You're like locked into, first of all, you like go upstairs, you go up the elevator into the whatever it is, and the first thing you do is hit a bunch of dead ends. And I guess this is the game's way of teaching you that like if you hit a dead end, pixel hunt.
I guess, except that the game makes you, like, during the periods that it wants you to pixel hunt, it makes you do it. It
Right.
throws you into first person. It also, like, during this section, because it may be like 4 or 5 consecutive like little pixel hunting portions. It's going back and forth between that, this Dead Space kind of camera, and cutscenes. And the cutscenes are with the army guys, the whatever they are.
Yeah.
Marines?
Galactic Federation. I don't know.
This is important that we get the nomenclature right. But so with them, you stumble on
recruits. Do they call them recruits?
I mean, probably while they're recruiting them, sure. Once they're like in the army, I don't think you call them recruits anymore. In any event,
we just watched this.
It doesn't matter. So they're hacking into this terminal.
Yeah.
That your Errol Flynn guy, James,
says that he could, but he never actually does.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because his friend, it's all worthless, pointless throwaway dialogue. Because the other person is like, this might be really tough to hack into, as like he's hacking and like everything is turning from green or red to green.
Right, and then James says, "Oh, it shouldn't be that hard to do it. It is going to take a long time."
No. The guy turns to wait. Is Errol Flynn James?
Yeah.
Okay. So the guy is hacking the terminal. He turns to James and he's like, "Oh, I don't know if I can. Like, this looks really tough. Like, you may have to do it." As he's like doing it, and
Sure.
then James is like, I don't even know what he says, but it's completely throwaway because James never hacks it. They leave. He leaves with Anthony.
That's right, and the thing gets blown up then. So, I think James...
Who blew it up?
Did
we blow it up?
I don't think we didn't blow it up. No, I think either...
The bad people? The doctor?
Possibly Adam. I distrust Adam at this point.
Okay.
I think he's the bad guy.
Okay.
Which maybe you're supposed to because Samus seems to distrust him as well.
Right.
Or at least she's got some suspicions.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, I wonder if he knew."
She's tempest tossed in love.
That's Hey, that's true. Let's talk a little bit about Lyle.
Who's Lyle? Oh, Lyle was late.
Lyle looks late. Looks like Lyle's late. Why do they use their first names?
I don't know. Except hers, like, I forgot that Anthony was the only one that called her princess.
Right.
That's it. There's no significance.
Anthony does, when they're looking out at the field that is supposed to look like the Federation training ground.
Yeah.
Does say like
no. So it's not supposed. I don't think it's supposed to. Is it? Is it supposed to look like it, or does Anthony just say like, "Hey, does that remind you of anything?" It's an open field. It's like,
oh,
is it?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's supposed to or if just Anthony makes that assumption. Or if it actually is the training ground and that's where they take all of their recruits, soldiers, Marines, to train them. But he says something super cryptic like, brings back memories, huh? And then he answers his own question and goes, yup. But so at this point, we don't know where Lyle is. Right? Like they make a point of saying, looks like Lyle's late.
And you're forgiven if you're like, why do I care? Because Lyle was didn't actually have like a purpose earlier. He was one of the Marines.
Right. Lyle is my father's
I've settled
name.
on Marines.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go with Marines. Okay. Just as long as we're not saying recruits, Mark. I mean, come on. Lyle
I could have easily have just settled on recruits.
No, you could not. I would have pushed back. Lyle is my father's name, so that it sticks out to me.
Oh, okay.
And I've never met another Lyle in my life. So when this character is named Lyle, I'm like, oh, I'm going to pay attention to this loser, Lyle the loser. And it seems like he's late, and then later he shows up dead.
Yeah.
And we investigate why he's dead, and that's where we find the husk of the albino Pikachu Chocobo.
But this was after the worst, most annoying boss battle.
Oh, yeah, this thing.
All in first person.
Samus is pinned, right? And it's
because she's such a bozo. She like walks outside. All the Marines are shooting towards her up, and she just like walks out and then turns around and the big like lizard bird type thing leaps onto her.
I assume
like, what were you doing?
I assume that the creature that attacks her is the giant bird dog from The Last Guardian.
Oh, I assume so too.
I assume it's the same.
Yeah. That it definitely makes the most sense.
Right. So it pins her, right? And she can't move. The only thing she can do is look and shoot. And so it's this awful sequence where you just have to charge and shoot the thing's tail before it skewers your head.
Right, but the tail is very erratic and moves really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of just got to wait until it like decides which side of the thing it's going to attack you from, and then
just terrible.
It's just no good.
Also, we're not spending enough time talking about how terrible the Dead Space sections are.
Oh yeah,
we just glossed over that because I need to dedicate time to it because you move so slowly no reason and forever. Because I can understand it to be the first time they like pull it out in this section is because a door is open and you're like, it's supposed to be like, what? This door's open? So I'm going to be stealthy and, like on guard. So I'm going to walk slowly.
Right. But then you walk in there and it's just like your Marine buddies.
Yeah, exactly. But you continue walking slowly forever.
Oh, and here's another thing. So you're walking slowly and Mark and I are like, okay, where do we go? And we're like, okay, we'll go through this door. Nope, can't do it. Door's red. We're like, well, what? I mean, let's walk back. And we're moving so slowly. She can't jump. She can't run. She just walks slowly. It turns out you have to save the game before the next door opens. What is that? What?
And which, again, fine, except I don't think that has been the case
ever
previously.
Right. So you go down these like endless hallways. And you go through like an operating theater.
And again, locked into this. And it's not just the over-the-shoulder view, which is disorienting. It's how slowly you move that makes it so irritating.
And the fact that like all of your tools are taken away from you. You can't shoot. You can't jump. You can't turn into a ball. It's just like, oh, no, this part of the game isn't the game you've been playing. And it's frustrating.
And then we, after the annoying boss battle with the bird thing,
right?
With the first-person boss battle
with Trico from
The Last Guardian in stores now,
right?
You have to do another pixel hunt section. There's a lot of pixel hunting in this chunk that we just played,
right?
And it's
So both this section that you're about to complain about and the one where you find the other Zebzians are both totally unintuitive what they want you to do. So in this like murder mystery one where we see Lyle's body and everyone is like crowded around it, it wants you to turn around 180 degrees and spot some green blood on the ground. And similarly, when you are checking out the dead Zebzian, which you have to go back to, by the way, you find it, then it kicks you back out, and then you have to dead space walk back over to it. Then you have to look up to the ceiling to find stuff where like it's just not where you're looking. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, especially the one with Lyle. Like I remember that one when I played through it drove me crazy because there's no like clue or hint or indication, and it's like green blood on green grass.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's like you're saying, so unintuitive.
It's also not like there's any prompt that's like, see if you can figure out what happened to Lyle.
Well, and
look for clues or anything like that.
And how does green blood relate to Lyle?
I don't know.
Yeah.
When you see green blood, how does it even register to you as blood? Right? You're like, oh, someone was painting their bike and they got some paint here on the grass and they have a nice green bike.
Let me look at the list. Was there anything else we'd like?
I hope there was something.
Trying to end on a...
that section where you're raising and lowering the water levels was kind of interesting. I don't like moving around in the water, but
it was the most puzzly.
Yeah, and it was cool that it was even had like some of the like action puzzle elements of having to activate these switches that would raise and lower the water, and then having to do like wall jumps while it's moving. Like I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh, and there was a section where there's rain, and I love rain levels.
That's
in
true.
Games.
That's true.
So that was nice.
You went, ooh, I love rain levels.
I deliver what I promise.
Yeah. Loving something.
Rain level specifically.
Very good. Anything else? Anything you want to add about this section or what was fun? Or
I feel like because we are not really enjoying playing this game, that at the end of each of these I feel obligated to tease something exciting coming up, so that way like to keep playing. And my memory is that the lava level sector 3 has a lot of like platforming elements.
Ooh, I look forward to that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really did like as we were approaching a save point here early in Sector 3 is you're running through like a tube, and if you don't do a sense move or a dodge, whatever it's called, this like giant lava dragon will just eat you in one bite.
I liked that, but again, it's also one of those like unfair things where, okay, so it happened to you, and I was just sitting here, and then the continue screen came up, and I was like, what? Because I thought you did what you're supposed to do, because there's no indication otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like the rest of the game in that it's like, here's a poorly broadcast obstacle that you'll have to overcome. Surprise, you didn't do it.
Luckily, it doesn't set you far that back. You're basically just running down that corridor again.
So maybe that's really what this game is that it's not really so much a game as it is just a bunch of fail states it trains you to gradually avoid. Does that sound like fun?
No, but let's continue doing it.
All right, cool. So now we'll figure out how far we play for the next time, so you can join us there. Okay, so to get ready for next episode, you have to explore Sector 3, get kicked out of Sector 3, go to Sector 2, get the speed boots, and then clear the bridge afterwards and get to that first save point.
Yep.
Is that clear enough?
I think so.
I think we've been very clear.
You'll know when you get there.
Yeah, you'll know and you'll love it just like we did. So yeah, and then join us then.
Yeah, for part 4?
Part 4, man.
Great.
Part 4.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?